2 to Brantley. Brantley with a drive deep down the right field line. Gone, and the Indians win it. Oh, baby, what a feeling that's got to be for Brantley. This Indians team snaps a 4-game losing streak with a walk-off win here against the Tigers.
How sweet is that?
Oh, it feels like summertime in downtown Cleveland. Warm afternoon. Indians-Tigers continue their 3-game series tonight here at Progressive Field. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Last night, obviously, an exciting win for the Tribe. Hard to believe, Rick, in 21 years of baseball here at Progressive Field, that's now 21 walk-off wins for the Tribe against the Detroit Tigers, and add Michael Brantley's name to the honor roll for Cleveland.
And 12 home runs to be exact. And last night, Michael hits his first walk-off home run to end this ball game, and the Indians desperately needed that. He also has a 16-game hitting streak at home in this ballpark. He's hitting over 400. But good players do good things at good times of the game, and Michael did that last night. The Indians needed it desperately, and you can see his teammates. They are all over him, and it was a good thing for Michael. It was a good thing for the Indians.
Trevor Bauer gets the call-up. He gets the start here tonight against Detroit. We've only seen him once this year, and he was sensational against San Diego.
Well, it's his turn to step up. He's going to have to do it against a different team than the San Diego Padres. He pitched a very good game. He'll be matched up against Verlander. But Bauer, with an opportunity now to command his fastball, he's going to need his breaking ball and his changeup, because he's going up against Justin Verlander. In his last 4 starts against the Indians, he's 3-0. They had him on the ropes in Detroit. They just couldn't pin a loss on him.
Verlander has 18 career wins against Cleveland, but here in Cleveland, he's just 9-10 all time. So time to tighten up the gloves, loosen up the arm, limber up the legs. Go head first if you have to. It's the Indians and the Tigers. The play-by-play is coming up. Next.
McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's, get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And we welcome you into Progressive Field for Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Indians and the Detroit Tigers. On the hill for Cleveland is the right-hander Trevor Bauer. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Brad Ausmus and Detroit. It's brought to you by Toyota. Ian Kinsler leading it off, followed by Torrey Hunter. Then it's Miguel Cabrera, who's hit in 10 straight, 3 hits last night. Victor Martinez bats cleanup. Austin Jackson in the lineup tonight batting 5th. Then it's Nick Castellanos, followed by Alex Avila. Danny Wirth will start at short and bat 8th tonight. Rajai Davis bats 9th.
Our GMC starting pitcher will be Trevor Bauer. He is making his 2nd start this year. You're looking at his numbers from down in Columbus. His first start against the Padres, a very good start, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. He had 8 strikeouts and just 2 walks. He had command of his fastball. This will be very different start against a much better offense this time, so he's going to need command of that fastball against the Tigers, his very first start against them. And we will see how he fares against one of the best offenses in the game.
Bit of a buzz here tonight after the walk-off win for Cleveland last night. Certainly a big lift to the spirits of everybody involved with the Tribe. Bauer's first pitch is up high, ball 1 to Ian Kinsler. Kinsler last night went 1 for 5 with a double. Chopped to third, but it's foul. Our game time temperature tonight, 75 degrees and not even a whisper of a breeze.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely perfect. Bauer's 1-1. Swing and a miss, tied him up with a good pitch that time.
That's the one thing about Bauer. He can throw his fastball upstairs, and he can also change the eye level with his curveball. That ball running inside, pretty good pitch right there. Had some movement going in and tied him up above the belt. Also has a good changeup.
Now the 1-2. There's the breaking ball in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The key for Bauer, according to Terry Francona, is to pitch off of his fastball. Really use it, establish it. The 2-2. And there is the fastball popped up. Shallow right. In comes David Murphy. 1 away. With more on Trevor Bauer, let's go downstairs and check in with Katie Witham.
Matt, the struggles that Trevor Bauer went through last season really seemed to wake him up. Instead of always wanting to use his fastball high in the zone and strike everyone out, Mickey Callaway said he really now realizes the importance of working and commanding that fastball down in the zone, getting early outs in the pitch count, keeping it low, and then also being able to get ahead in the count then ultimately allows him to strike out more guys.
Well, and also, Rick, when you're trying to work up in the strike zone, at the top of the strike zone, there's not a lot of margin for error.
Well, it's tough to get him called up there, too, for strikes, because a lot of guys just take them. And when you're a young pitcher, you got to prove to umpires you can throw strikes first.
There's a belt-high strike, and Torrey Hunter takes exception.
That's what I'm talking about. It's tough sometimes to get that call a belt high or just a little bit above.
That fastball ran in and knocked Hunter back off the plate a little bit. Missed outside. 3 balls and a strike. First-year manager Brad Ausmus has the Tigers perched atop the Central Division with a 7-game lead. Indians currently last in the division, 9.5 games off the pace. 5 games below the break-even mark. The 3-1. Hit pretty well. Deep left field. High and gone. That was a 95-plus mile-an-hour fastball and Torrey Hunter mashed it. His 6th home run of the year gives Detroit a 1-0 lead.
Well, you know, coming in 3-1 count, Hunter's going to be looking for the heater. He got the heater, and it's I'm sure middle of the plate because it wasn't away. That was about mid-thigh and middle of the plate, and Torrey Hunter knows what to do with that one. He got all of it, and that got out in a hurry. His 6th home run. Detroit leads it 1-0.
Here's Miguel Cabrera. He turns that fastball around, but it's foul. Down low. A ball and a strike. Cabrera, a pair of singles and a double last night. He has upped his batting average to .325. Good slider.
And Cabrera is about as far in that box as you can possibly get. I would say more than half his foot is on the outside of the line. He stands very deep in the box. But boy, what plate coverage. Look at you.
He's out of the box.
Well,
almost,
he's got the, if you're touching chalk, I guess he's okay.
Jammed him, and Bauer kicked it. Recovers and gets the out. 2 down.
Let's check the Kia Indians defense behind Bauer tonight. Brantley is in left, Bourne in center, Murphy in right. Chisenhall gets the start at third this evening. Cabrera's at short. Mike Avila's at second. Swisher at first. Gomes behind the plate.
Gabe Morales behind the plate tonight. Tim Timmons at first. Crew chief Tim Welke at second. Todd Tishner down at third. Victor Martinez. Batting .368 here in the month of May. And batting .369 in 49 career games against his former club. Good pitch over for a strike. 1-1. Had him jumping at that pitch. Keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. For Trevor Bauer, command of the pitches, command of the strike zone. And for the Indians hitters, what they did last night against Drew Smiley, if they could do that again tonight, that would be helpful. Work the counts, drive up the pitch count. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. The inning is over, but Torrey Hunter with a solo shot has Detroit on the board first. Terry Francona's starting lineup for Cleveland, brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne leads it off. Then it's Asdrubal Cabrera, followed by Michael Brantley. Lonnie Chisenhall batting cleanup. Then it's David Murphy, followed by Carlos Santana. Nick Swisher batting 7th. Yan Gomes having a good month of May, bats 8th, and then Mike Aviles will hit 9th.
GMC starting pitcher Justin Verlander for the Tigers, who is 5-2. He is making his 10th start. Tigers' record is 7-2 in his 9 starts to this point. 47 strikeouts, 60 innings pitched. They worked him really well the first time he pitched in April in Detroit against them. He went 5 innings and had 113 pitches. They had him down, but Detroit's offense came back and got him off the hook.
Michael Bourne went 1 for 6 last night. Leads off with a swing and a foul out of play.
You know, in his last start, Matt, he had a really good changeup, but he kept going to that curveball to try and get people out, and he let them back into the counts with the curveball. We'll see what he has to offer tonight. But he has all 4 pitches. He's got the curveball, the changeup, the slider, and a very good fastball.
Well, you know, one of our keys to the game was work to count against Verlander. A lot of it has to do with how he's pitching, because we've seen him when he's on. If he's got command, you can try your best, but it's hard to work the count.
Well, you know, you go up there and you swing early. I've seen an offense go at him. You swing early, and he still has 100 pitches in 5.
5-ball, lazy one to center, and Austin Jackson makes the catch, 1 away.
Our key at defense for the Tigers is Davis in left, Jackson in center, Hunter is in right. Castellanos is at third, Worth is at short, Kinsler at second, Cabrera at first, Avila behind the plate.
Asdrubal Cabrera had 2 hits last night, including a double, and scored a run. In his last 11 games, Cabrera is batting .409. Up high, ball 1. Pop back out of play.
Well, you mentioned Verlander here in this ballpark, his 21st start of his career here. And he is 9-10 with a 5.26. He made his very first start. You remember that?
Yeah.
Getting called up from Erie, and started that night here against the Indians, and they hit him hard.
Cabrera smashes one into center field. Boy, Asdrubal is really swinging the bat much better here of late, and that's a great sign for this Indians offense. Our great clip of the game from last night. This is the 21st year of baseball in this ballpark, and that is the 21st walk-off win for the Indians against the Detroit Tigers. 12th time they've done it via the homer. And the guy who has the most walk-off hits against the Detroit Tigers is coaching first base tonight for the Indians, Sandy Alomar, with 3 walk-off hits against Detroit in his career, including 2 home runs to end games.
Verlander, a big guy, and he always he has very quick feet. At 6'5", he quick to first base.
Rick, obviously, Verlander is a guy you consider a power pitcher. So, from experience, when you go up against a power pitcher, what's your game plan? You're looking first fastball you see, get after it, that kind of thing?
Well, you'd like to. It all depends on these guys have track records against him. Brantley has hit him very well. He's hit like 390 off him, and 16 for 41. It just depends on how he goes about trying to get you out. He's thrown now a lot of fastballs early this first time through, but he's going to start getting a feel for that changeup, for the breaking ball. You'll see now when you get runners on base. But he's just, when you say a power pitcher, he's a power pitcher because he throws hard. But he throws a lot more than just the fastball.
Yeah.
And he's a tough competitor out there, man. He comes at you.
Well, and we've seen him go well above the 100 pitch mark.
Oh, gosh, 120 to 130.
And throw mid-90s and above late in the ball game.
Yeah. He's a horse, man. Think about as many innings as they've had going into the playoffs the last few years.
Brantley lifts one foul out of play down the left side.
You know, he's gotten down to a program now where you go to spring training. He doesn't want to throw the ball a whole lot in spring training. Can't blame him.
Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. In his 16-game home hitting streak, Michael batting at a .410 clip with 6 of his 9 home runs.
Well, he's loved to hit here all year long. He's been a different guy on the road, and that's hard to believe because he has the same approach.
Well, Terry Francona was saying with Michael Brantley, what you're seeing right before your eyes is a guy who's physically maturing. I'm not talking about mentally. I'm talking about physically. He's maturing because last couple of years, the balls that we've seen him hit out of the ballpark, it probably would have been doubles. But now he's got the strength that he's driving it out of the yard. And that's smashed into center. 17 straight games here at Progressive Field with a hit for Michael Brantley. Our Hear Right Audiology Sounds of the Game features Jason Giambi talking about Michael Brantley.
He plays great defense. He throws to the right base. He runs the bases well. He takes great at bats. You know, he can hit the ball the other way. He can pull the ball. Now he's showing power. So I think the thing that, and he doesn't really say too much, but the things he does say are important to guys. So they listen when he speaks. And I think he's starting to find that he has that voice in this clubhouse. Because I think when you're a younger player, you sometimes are always in your locker going, oh, should I say something? Should I not say? Because you want to try to find your place. And I think he's really stepping into the forefront as a leader of this ball club.
E.F. Hutton. When Brantley speaks, you listen. And he doesn't say much. Well, he is. He's maturing, and he's getting it, and he's a leader on this team. There's no doubt about it. He is a leader on this team. You look at him, you look at Kipnis. And to me, those two guys are what's going to take this team
Lonnie
forward.
with a liner just over the glove of Kinsler coming around third. Cabrera's going to score the tying run. And the Indians come right back in the bottom of the first inning with 3 consecutive singles off Justin Verlander to tie the game.
Well, I'll tell you what, the read from Asdrubal Cabrera was spectacular. He didn't hesitate, and that's the only way you can score on that ball. What a great read. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. Chisenhall digs it out from down and in. And normally, I'd say 99% of the guys would hesitate on that ball. And if he catches it, it's a double play. But he didn't catch it. So it turns into be a great base running play. Chisenhall gets a ribby. Cabrera scores the run. Well done.
Now David Murphy. Great read. How much of that is instinctually just saying, I got to take a chance here?
He knows where the player's at. That ball was hit right at Kinsler. He just took a guess. And I'll tell you what, it was the right guess. You know, if he gets doubled off, he's going to be in trouble. But he didn't. Watch. He knew where he was. You see him looking back, It would have been too late anyway. So just keep right on going. That was just a good read. A lot of times when you're at second base, you got to know where those fielders are before the pitch is even thrown. And then you just read it off the bat. You don't have time to look at where those guys are.
Two balls, no strikes for David Murphy. The Indians trying to jump Verlander here right out of the gate in the first inning. Double play ball hit to second. And the Tigers get out of the inning. But the Indians come right back with a run on the bottom of the first, and we're tied at 1 after an inning here in Cleveland. Northeast Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. Brantley's Brigade on hand here tonight. Michael Brantley extending his home hitting streak, and Lonnie Chisenhall delivering yet another hit to give the Indians their first run of the game and tie it up. Austin Jackson leads off inning number 2 for Detroit, and the pitch up high for ball 1. Back to the screen. We said it when the Indians played Detroit earlier this year. It just seems odd to see Austin Jackson batting in the middle of the lineup rather than at the top or near the bottom.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he can drive runs in. He's going to take a called third there.
He's going to take a seat.
You know, yeah, we watched him for years in the leadoff spot, and he swings and misses a lot. As Bauer gets his second strikeout, there's the breaking ball upstairs. We'll see. I mean, you don't know if a guy can drive in runs or not until he's out there. He's going to have his share of base runners with Cabrera and Martinez hitting in front of him, because they certainly will be on.
Nick Castellanos, swing and a miss. Bauer starts him off with a slow breaking ball and gets ahead. Castellanos had a couple of hits last night. And the count quickly 0-2. Swing and a miss. Bauer sets him down. That's 3 straight strikeouts. Remember, you can tweet us your photos by using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have them shown in one of our telecasts. It's all courtesy of AT&T. You know, the one thing, too, that Terry Francona was saying about Bauer, Rick, is that, look, this is a young man who's starting to figure it out. It's starting to come together for us, or for him, and we want him to be here to stay. We want him to take this opportunity and run with it, because they feel like, you know, he's pretty much done all he can do now at the AAA level.
Look, he's 23 years old. I'm sure the light bulb has gone off. He knows he's not intimidated up here by any means, and it's a matter. He has good enough stuff where he can go out there and compete. There's no question about it, and this could jumpstart him. This could be a very good confidence builder for him going up against one of the best offenses in the league. We got a lot of alumni checking in now between Albert and Zeke.
Strike called outside corner. It's quickly 0-2. Albert Bell, Greg Swindell, they're all tuned in tonight.
Yeah, Greg Swindell's watching. They're all tuning in. They want to see this game.
Big game Tuesday.
Big game Tuesday.
Bauer's 2-strike pitch in the dirt. Avila able to lay off. Now the 1-2 delivery. Boy, tempting, but Avila able to resist. And the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fastball took off on him, and you could see Bauer's reaction. Unhappy with his delivery, perhaps. He's very much a student of his own mechanics. But he said, you know, one of the keys for him was coming to camp, working last year a lot on smoothing out his delivery, refining the mechanics, so that this year wasn't worrying about those things.
You can't worry about that when you get between the lines. It's got to be all natural.
Oh. I don't know. Ball 4.
Well, it's a good pitch. I mean, I like it going in there 3-2. He had him locked up. Just may be a little in off the plate. That ball didn't look like it comes back a whole lot. But inside. So his first walk for the night.
Going to bring up Danny Worth. Worth and Andrew Romine handling the shortstop duties for Detroit now. Romine, a switch hitter, has had his struggles at the plate. So Worth gets the start tonight, batting .250. His 12th game so far. One ball and one strike. If you've never seen Trevor Bauer's pregame routine, it's worth getting to the ballpark early for just to see it one time. He comes out here about 45 minutes before game time.
He was throwing the baseball around 6:15 today. Starting the toss.
I've never seen a guy throw it farther during his warm-up. He was literally, if we can take the high home shot here, he was literally throwing it from deep right field all the way over to the left field corner.
He might have thought he had one there that was a little off the plate. Instead of striking him out, get the plate. They haven't faced you before.
Foul out of play.
You get down to the bottom part of the lineup, you pretty much want to try and get an out with 3 pitches or less if you can. Because you know in the middle part of the lineup, you're going to have to use a lot of your bullets.
Two down, a runner, first 2-2 pitch. To right field, Murphy's right there. That'll end the second. We'll visit with Indians starting pitcher Corey Kluber when we come back. We're tied at 1, middle of the second. Bottom of the second inning for Cleveland, it will be Carlos Santana, Nick Swisher, and Yan Gomes due up. We're going to go down to the Tribe dugout right now, where we're joined by Indians pitcher Corey Kluber, who tuned in another terrific performance last night. What's it like pitching in a game like last night? I mean, obviously you guys went through a lot of high-pressure situations last year, but you get the first-place team in town, the way you guys have been struggling here lately. What was that game like? Seemed like a lot of emotion involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was obviously an important game for us. You know, playing them, we didn't want to fall any further behind than we already are. But at the same time, you know, trying not to put too much pressure on ourselves and make it more than it is, just one game.
Oh, boy, I can hear it raining already down there.
Yep, it started.
Okay. Hey, when you put a game plan together against a team like the Tigers, you're a lot of first pitch fastballs for strikes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and that's what you have to do when you pitch against an offensive club like the Tigers, isn't it? Just get ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very aggressive team, but, you know, I think they're even better when they're ahead in the count and they're able to kind of hone in on the pitch they want.
Uh-huh.
So almost use that aggressiveness to your advantage.
Carlos Santana swings and fouls one back off Justin Verlander here in the second inning. We're visiting with Indians pitcher Corey Kluber, who was locked in a pretty good duel against his Tigers lineup last night. And it was a good matchup with Miguel Cabrera. You got in there, got in his kitchen early in the ball game. But he's a tough guy to face, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the middle of their lineup with him and Victor is really probably not a better, you know, back-to-back hitters, especially with how hot they are right now. And, you know, there's going to be times where you make your pitches to them and they still get their hits, but you just kind of have to try your best not to let that affect you.
Look at the composure of this guy, folks.
I learned from Masty last year.
Santana gets it by Cabrera. He's got a base hit, and he's going to turn and go to second. Cabrera's throw is in time. Well, it's easy to say after the fact that he was overly aggressive, but I like it because Cabrera was nonchalantly going after the ball right there.
Well, that's exactly what Santana felt. He was going after it a little too slowly. So he's going to get after it, pick it up, and it didn't go that far away from him.
So Santana erased, trying to advance after the base hit. One down here in the second inning, going to bring up Nick Swisher. We're visiting with Indians pitcher Corey Kluber down in the Tribe dugout as Swisher digs in and fouls it out of play. Corey, what do you think a win like that last night does for the ball club?
The rain jacket.
I mean, hopefully it gets us a little bit of momentum and something to build off of. You know, I don't think that in the long run it's more important than one game, but you know, yeah. I think we played a good game as a team, so hopefully that kind of, you know, maybe a wake-up call is that's the way we need to play.
Corey, this year you've been really consistent out there. You go out and it seems like you're a solid 6 innings every time out, if not 7, and can go more than that. Is there anything that you've learned this year from last year that you've been able to take into this year?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is always just being aggressive and trying to attack the strike zone. Trying to avoid falling behind hitters is the biggest key for me and probably most pitchers. You know, obviously it's a lot easier to hit when you're ahead in the count and you can kind of try to zone in on the one pitch you're looking for.
You know, you're normally a 70% strike guy anyway. Is that why the strikeouts come? Because a lot of times you're 0-2, 1-2 to most hitters.
Yeah, that probably has something to do with it. I mean, I think that for me, I'm not trying to strike people out. I think it's just a product of kind of executing pitches and, you know, like obviously, yeah, if you're way ahead in the count, then they're in more of a defensive mode.
Right. I understand. Yeah, but I mean, you can throw all 4 of your pitches for strikes at any one time too, and that certainly helps.
It does. Yeah. I mean, that's just that much more for the hitter to think about.
Well, I know one thing. Our statistician up here, Tommy Bowe, he says that when guys put the ball in play off you, they're hitting 525 or on the very first pitch. But you go at him with a fastball, so you don't mind that, do you, as long as you don't walk him?
Yeah, I mean, I would – if a guy's going to swing at the first pitch, you know, you kind of take your chances with it. You don't want to change your game plan just according to the way that, you know, a certain hitter's attacking you or something like that. I mean, I think I think the big thing is to kind of stick with your strengths and, not let them kind of take you out of your game plan.
Well, Corey, this is a first. You look like a powdered sugar donut now.
Yeah, I saw some baby powder flying across there.
Well, you're a trooper. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
Down the line, it's a fair ball into the corner. It goes, and I think somebody grabbed it. A fan might have reached over and touched the ball. Swisher will go into second base with a one-out double.
Already the 5th hit for the Indians. And that's after 7 hitters. He had the double play ball, and then Santana getting thrown out at second in the hustle play. And then Swisher pulls this ball down the line, and it looks like it hits chalk.
Right on the line.
And then goes right into the seats. Yeah, they didn't reach over or anything.
Okay.
That came into the seats, and that was their ball to begin with.
So Swisher with the double is in scoring position now for Yan Gomes, who's another Indians hitter that is on a pretty good roll right now. 3 hits last night. And Verlander goes at him with a first pitch breaking ball. One and one account. Gomes at home this year, batting .299. It's funny, he comes into tonight's game with the exact same number of at-bats, home and road, 67. But he has 3 more hits at home than he does on the road. And so because of you've had so few at-bats, the difference is staggering. 254 versus 299, but you're only talking about the difference of 3 hits.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't take much.
Bottom line is he's been very consistent. Home, away. 2-1 pitch. Missed inside with it. 3 balls and a strike, and the Indians are doing what they wanted to do, is work the count, make him throw pitches.
Well, for Verlander and the type of pitcher he is, out of his 31 pitches, the Indians have yet to swing and miss, which I find that rare, because usually you're going to get a couple of guys to swing and miss at a couple of his pitches.
The 3-1.
There's one. He had it, got after it. It looked like a little slider.
Probably not what he's expecting. 3-1. Swisher in scoring position. 3-2 pitch. Gomes fouls it out of play. Verlander taking a long time to pick up the sign here from Avila. Gomes still waiting on him. And it's ball 4. Good at bat for Gomes. Takes the walk. 2 on, 1 out. Mike Avila's coming up. Tigers pitching coach Jeff Jones talking with Brad Ausmus now. I mean, this is somewhat par for the course when the Indians face Verlander. Even when he's pitched well, early in games, takes him a while to maybe find it. And that's why it's so important, if you can, try to jump on him early.
Yeah, if you can get a few hits in an inning, he usually doesn't give up a lot of hits. Why he threw that, I don't know.
I think it's lucky for him that Kinsler was standing there, because he looked like he was going to throw it no matter what.
It's programmed in his mind that he wanted to throw it.
Outside, ball one.
Yeah, when you get opportunities like this, you have to take advantage. You have to get a hit here or there to knock in a couple of runs or get a 2-out base hit, or you have a couple of base runners, hit a home run. Make it a big inning. Because when he does get locked in, he doesn't give up many hits.
Popped up. Avila back to the screen, and it hit right on top of the screen.
How lucky was that?
A break.
I mean, you're talking about
Indians.
an inch, huh? On that wire, just on top of the screen?
Maybe. How wide do you think that the width of that wire? It can't even be an inch.
Yeah,
probably.
not much. There it is.
It came down right on top of it.
Ball on a wire.
Isn't that Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell?
Yeah. You got it. Only you would know, right?
Verlander checks Swisher at second base, the 1-1. Fouled right back off the mask of Avila.
Look at that.
Wow.
He took that shot last year, if you remember, against the Indians where he had that concussion and missed a lot of time, went on the DL. And that is just a direct hit off the bat of Aviles to Avila. And look at that's staggering. That knocked him down.
Standing 8 count.
Look at.
Mike Aviles awaiting the 1-2 pitch now. Line drive, base hit, left center field. That's in the alley. That'll go to the wall. Swisher scores. Gomes around third. He's coming home. He'll score 2. Mike Aviles on a 1-2 pitch. Drives a 2-run double to the gap in left center, and the Indians lead it 3-1. Double number 6 for Aviles. RBIs number 12 and 13.
He did a really nice job of going down to get this breaking ball and stayed on it. He just kept his hands back and hit a line drive. Look at that. That's really well done. Shot the gap into left center field, and Gomes is going to be able to score all the way from first base. So, you know, that hustle play where Santana was thrown out may have injected a little energy into this ball club. I got to tell you something. Even though he made an out, it was his hustle. They're picking it up. They've got a couple of hits in the walk.
Oh, Bourne nearly pulled one by Cabrera at first, but it's just foul.
Well, he's calling out Avila right now. I don't know if he's talking to him. May want to change the signs thinking that something's happening. They may have signs, but he's talking to him. He called him out. And Borney just missed the bag at first base.
Well, you know, Rick, sometimes you'll see Avila, instead of just giving the fingers, he'll go to the helmet, arm,
touches,
shoulder, knee pad.
Yeah, they can do that.
I haven't seen it yet, but I wonder if we might see it now, if that's what the conversation was about. Down low with it, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Got him to expand his strike zone there, and a count now, a ball and 2 strikes.
Going back to that changeup, a couple of changeups. That was his pitch the last time. Boy, the Indians, that first time through the lineup, they have 6 base hits out of the first 9 guys.
Well, I mean, think about it, Rick. The Indians went 0 for the series against Oakland with runners in scoring position. And already, 5 hits? Yeah, 5 for 16 against Detroit now. when it goes, it's hard to figure out why it goes. You know?
I know it. It is. It runs in cycles, though. And
Bourne drives one to right field. Back is Hunter. It's over his head. Off the wall. Aviles will score. Bourne into second with an RBI double. Off the wall, just about hit it out of here. A 3-run second for Cleveland, and they lead it 4-1. And now pitching coach Jeff Jones will pay a visit to Verlander.
wow, the third double in the inning. He smoked that ball. Hunter was going to try and decoy Aviles on second base. That wasn't going to help at all because that was a line drive off the wall. I mean, there's the high fastball belled high. It was change-up, then the fastball, and it's smoked. So it's a 3-run inning. They have 3 doubles in the inning. Now, coming into this ball game, the first time through, hitters against Verlander were hitting just 164. Well, the Indians dropped 6 hits on them, so they've got something going tonight.
The Indians taking out some frustration with the bats so far here tonight. 3 hits in the first, 4 more here in the second, and still only 1 out with Bourne in scoring position.
You know, the funny thing, in all 3 doubles in this inning, when you look at Swisher, Aviles, and Bourne, all of them were down in the count 1 and 2, able to come up with big hits, so he hasn't been able to put the guys away.
There goes Bourne for third base. Nobody's there. He's got the steal. His 3rd stolen base of the year. Just heads-up base running by Bourne, and Castellanos apparently never realized that Bourne took off because he was late getting to the bag.
Either that or nobody said anything or he didn't hear him. He was playing off the bag with Cabrera. Watch, he didn't even know he was in the same zip code. The element of surprise right there.
Infield now in for Detroit. And Cabrera lays off. It's down low. 2 balls, no strikes. This will be the 30th pitch of the inning for Verlander. And Cabrera took a big hack, came up empty. Michael Bourne doubled, stole third. And now just 90 feet away from the 4th run of the inning for Cleveland. And a base hit into right field. A 4th spot of the second for Cleveland. They lead it 5-1 and still only 1 out. Cabrera already 2 for 2 tonight, and that's his 14th run batted in on the year.
Yeah, he tried to go back-to-back breaking balls. He left this one up, and Cabrera smoked it. Had the 2-0 pitch, and now he's going to come back with it. And watch him stay back, and it's look at the grip. There's the breaking ball upstairs. Cabrera smokes it. And with the infield in as a hitter, you got to love that. Yeah, I mean, just stay short to the baseball, hits a line drive, gets his RBI. 5 hits in this inning. They had 3 in the first inning. The Indians already with 8 hits in an inning and a third off Verlander.
Now Michael Brantley, who singled his first time up. He swings and sends a high drive to center field. Jackson makes the catch, and that's out number 2. All right, up comes Lonnie Chisenhall. An RBI single his first time up. Chisenhall getting the start at third base tonight. And pops it up on the infield. That'll end the inning. The Indians send 8 men to the plate. They score 4 times in the second, and they now have a 5-1 lead. In between innings. Katie Witham, what was he doing?
Matt, as I sat here and observed Trevor Bauer, I believe he was trying to stay warm because it was quite a long half inning. He got his black band that he uses to warm up with first before the game even starts. He was doing exercises with that. He was running in place as well as doing jumping jacks in the dugout. And, of course, he mixed in intervals of water and Gatorade there, guys.
Surprised he wasn't throwing in the dugout.
Sounds like a guy who can't sit still. Rajai Davis, leading off, takes a strike. Bounces one to short. Cabrera fields it, fires it. One away. Our injury report tonight brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Matt Lindstrom for the White Sox has a left ankle injury, landing him on the disabled list. Corey Hart for Seattle and Will Middlebrooks. It goes down for Boston, but the Red Sox today signed Stephen Drew. I mean, that's one of those kind of head scratchers. So at the end of last year, Boston made him a qualifying offer of $14 million. He turned it down to seek greener pastures elsewhere. Didn't find anything. So now he signs with Boston, and essentially what they offered him was a prorated version of that same deal.
Yeah.
He's represented by Scott Boras, and that didn't work out so well.
Well, you're seeing that happen more and more. He had a draft pick attached to him, too, and they didn't want to give it up. You still have Kendry Morales, who's out. Same thing. He was a free agent. And
no player has yet to accept that qualifying offer, but you have to wonder.
Will they start in the future?
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, if you go out there and talk, you don't know. That may be a big deal next year. We'll see.
Torrey Hunter homered in the first. 3-1 fastball, and he did what you're supposed to do with it. He hit it hard.
Yeah, watch this. You're going to see the bat speed coming off the bat is almost 104 miles an hour.
So there you go. I mean, we always talk about they go out faster than they come in. That pitch was 95 miles an hour coming in.
And going out, just about 104. We had one here this weekend with Oakland off the bat of Brennan Moss at 108.3. And that was, remember that ball that was hit by Swisher at first base? It rolled all the way to the
fence.
That was hit harder than the home runs coming off the bat.
And I don't recall how hard the pitch was going in.
I don't either.
But
it doesn't matter. It shot out there really fast.
Back out of play, 0-2.
For Bauer, this is his 8-0-2 or 1-2 count. Now we'll see the different situation you would think with Hunter after a 3-1 fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Now Bauer can see if he can expand his strike zone a little bit. That's what Corey Kluber was saying. You know, he doesn't try to strike him out. It's a byproduct of getting ahead of the hitter and expanding their zone and throwing the pitches that you want to throw. That's a good pitch. Something tight. You're going to have to pitch this Detroit team inside, and it doesn't always have to be for strikes. But that could be setting up his next pitch or the one down the road.
That looks like a throw over to first.
Yeah, but, yep. Well, you got to keep your eye, and especially now it may come back with a breaking ball. That's why they want to throw over there first. Thinking he's going to throw a breaking ball or an off-speed pitch. But 5-1, you can't make an out on the base. So you certainly do not want to when you're coming into the big part of this lineup.
Maybe two here. Aviles to Cabrera, back to first, a double play to end the inning. Trevor Bauer gets a 2-for-1 ball. We'll go to the bottom of the third. 5-1 Cleveland. As you enjoy a cold one this evening, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. For Cleveland, David Murphy, Carlos Santana, and Nick Swisher here in the third. Verlander off to another good start this year. He's 5-2. Detroit has gone 7-2 in his 9 starts. But the Indians already have 8 hits tonight. He's never given up more than 10 hits against Cleveland. And yet they've already have 8 knocks against him in 2 innings tonight. Pitch outside, 3 balls and a strike. I go back to what you said, Rick, and that was before the swing and the miss by Gomes, which he eventually worked the count and got a walk.
Yeah, that was a 32nd or 33rd pitch.
There hadn't been a swing and miss yet.
I know it. And this is a swing and miss kind of guy.
Carlos Santana started the inning. Now, Miguel Cabrera just kind of lazily went after that ball, and Santana decided to press the issue. He was thrown out, but maybe, as you pointed out, sparked this club because they just came out hammering the ball after that.
You never fault a guy for being too aggressive. All right, he got thrown out, but I'll tell you what, his teammates see that. They say, way to go, good try, nice hustle, and they go. It picks him up.
If you're down 5-1, then you say that's a bad base running play.
But they're not. They weren't. Right. It was 1-1. Right. Let's go. Go ahead and take the extra base. There's nothing wrong with that. Your manager's going to love it. Your teammates love it. You know what? It's better than being passive. I mean, they've been struggling for the last week. This team is going to bring the most out of them. They did last night. They're going to do it again today because you're facing a couple of the best pitchers in the game tonight and again tomorrow. Get out there, throw it on the field, and have some fun doing it.
Down on the count 0-2 for Santana. And he lays off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. To this point, Verlander has not had the put-away pitch at his disposal tonight. The Indians have been able to get base hits on these 1-2 counts.
All of the 3 doubles. Last inning, we're all off. They had them down in the count 1-2.
And he left that pitch up, but Santana fouls it off.
You're catching Verlander where he's still searching out there, and don't let him settle in. He is struggling to get outs. Yeah, he's fighting himself out there. You just watch him after he throws a pitch. He's shaking his head. He's he might be his own worst enemy tonight.
Santana hits one high in the air to left center. Jackson, the center fielder, has it. 1 away.
Well, follow every Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, audio, scores, the free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download the App Store or visit Indians.com.
.33 in that second inning as the Indians sent 8 men to the plate. Nick Swisher doubled down the right field line in the second. His 11th double of the year. Verlander with the 0-1 pitch to Swisher in the dirt, and Avila with a nice block. Well, Murphy was ready to go, but it never got away from him.
Avila had 23 in the dirt last night. He was all over the place behind home plate. He did a wonderful job blocking.
23, and 1 got by him for a wild pitch.
For a run, that's right. Very first inning. But that was it.
Watch Murphy going back into the bag at first, taking a lot of dirt with him, huh?
That's why a lot of guys wear gloves when they're on the base paths. Keep the gloves on.
Ground ball base hit for Swisher. He's 2 for 2. And look at the aggressive running by Murphy all the way to third. Boy, he had his head down and running hard. And the Indians are at the corners with 1 out. And that's something they've talked about collectively as a team. We've got to be more aggressive running the bases.
No kidding. Well,
we saw
first of all, you got to get them on the
Gomes.
bases. You get them on, then you stay aggressive. Verlander gives him a pitch where that Swisher can handle, finds the hole. When you have a lead, you stay aggressive. Keep going. First and third him. Make that turn and pick up the baseball. Swisher now 2 for 2.
Here's Yan Gomes. He had the aggressive base running play last night that sparked the Indians. Indians have hung a season-high 9 hits on Verlander. Already 65 pitches for the Tigers right-hander. One and one to count. In the dirt. Nice block by Avila again. This was last night with Nick Swisher batting. Drills a base hit into left field, and he goes first to third on it.
Yeah, normally a left fielder should never let that happen.
And that would lead to the go-ahead run at that point in the game.
They did cut that ball and got Swisher at second base for the out, but that was outstanding hustle by Gomes.
Out of play, 2 balls and 2 strikes. See a lot of guys on that Tigers defense kicking the dirt on the infield. Some of the guys in the outfield are looking around. I mean, it's been a long time standing around out there.
Standing around, they're not catching anything, though. Everybody's putting the ball in play, and nothing's going in the gloves.
Two. Rip foul. Terry Francona's group with a walk-off win last night, and they have come out swinging here tonight. 9 hits in the game. They lead it 5-1. First and third, 1 out. 2-2 to Gomes. And Verlander has his first strikeout of the night. 2 down.
Well, Gomes, I don't know if he thought he swung at a ball or he thought he should have hit it. He was a little upset with himself, but think about it. It's the 3rd inning, and that's Verlander's first strikeout.
Bauer staying loose. See if the Indians can get a 2-out hit now from Aviles. He delivered a big hit first time up, but this one cut off by Castellanos, and the inning is over. 3 complete. Indians lead it 5-1. in the third inning. So we'll go to the fourth with the Tribe up 4. And Trevor Bauer has the meat of the order due up for Detroit. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, then Austin Jackson. He doesn't have a ball. That always helps.
Well, unless he wants to swing at nothing. He got inside on Cabrera the first time on that ground ball back to him.
Ripped down the left field line. Extra bases for Cabrera. On his way to second base, he's got a leadoff double. Third hit of the night for Detroit. And Cabrera's 4th hit in the series.
Well, I'll tell you what, he is ready to go right out of the chute. First pitch or what, you don't get it in there, he's looking. He got inside the first time. It wasn't going to happen again. He pulls that ball down the line. He gets his 15th double.
And he's now hit in 11 straight games. Victor Martinez struck out his first time up, something he has not done very much of this year. In fact, for Victor Martinez, that's only the 10th time he has struck out this year. So as you see, he still has more homers than strikeouts. Chop towards second base. Aviles looked to third, but he throws out Martinez at first. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, chat baseball with Joe Reedy on Game Day Live. How Jason Kipnis sees the Tribe since being on the DL, and see the result of trying to catch a souvenir baseball. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Austin Jackson trying to get a run home here. This is what we talked about when he came up the first time. Batting in the 5-hole. It's an RBI spot in the lineup. Guy who normally has batted in the leadoff spot. Right now, the Tigers just want him to put it in play. The Indians will concede the run on a ground ball.
Sure, they're playing back. Ground ball will get the run home.
A little bit high. It's 2-1.
Jackson's been able to do it 5 out of 8 times with less than 2 outs and a man on third.
Fouled right back, and it's 2-2.
Well, he challenged him right there. Said, here's the heater. Let's go. See if you can hit it. He did, and he fouled it off.
Oh, my, that was up and in. And a full count.
Yeah, up and in under the chin. That brushes him back. That takes it to a full count, though.
Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. Little slider. 4th strikeout of the night for Bauer. 2 down on the inning. And if he can get Castellanos, we'll look back on that as being a huge out.
Well, that 2-2 pitch up and in, and then he comes right down and away with that slider / cutter, whatever it is. Look at it on our Wendy's slow motion cam, our replay. And he gets the swing and miss.
Castellanos struck out his first time up. Breaking ball in for a called strike. Bauer deals. Pops him in the air. Center field. Bourne says, I've got it. He backpedals. He puts it away. And Trevor Bauer works around the leadoff double. It remains a 5-1 Indians lead.
May 30th, the Indians will come back and take on the Colorado Rockies. The fireworks will be set to the music of current Grammy nominees. So visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Michael Bourne will lead it off for Cleveland. Bourne doubled and scored in the second.
Yeah, Michael picked on a high fastball and hit it off the wall in right field. That was a line drive.
Fouled back. In the air, center field. Jackson sprinting back on the track at the wall. He can't make the play. It hit right at the base of the fence. And into second base with his second double of the night is Michael Bourne.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you hit it over this guy's head, you earn a double. Jackson, a very good center fielder. He's running back because he has a lot of room to patrol at home in Comerica Park. But Bourne hit this ball a long way. Going to left center field, you see he thought he had a beat on it. He knew he was getting close. He looked at the wall, and it hit the base of the wall. So Bourne with his second double. That is the fourth double for the Indians and the 10th hit tonight. You say that's the most he's ever given up to the Indians is 10 hits.
Yep, they've equaled the most he's ever allowed. But I'm guessing the 3 times he did, he pitched longer than 3+ innings. Could be wrong. They got 10 hits against Verlander on May 22nd last year. 10 hits against him in 07 on August the 22nd. 10 hits against him in 06 on August 26th. So
that might have been his first start here.
Two balls, no strikes.
Cabrera's had a good day. He has 2 hits. Bourne has 2. And so does Nick Swisher. So 3 tribesmen with 2 hits apiece.
Down low. 3 balls, no strikes as Dribble Cabrera. Line smash up the middle in the first. He came around to score. Then in the second, pulled a base hit into right field for an RBI. .3-0 pitch. Well, Tom Bochenek right on top of it. In those 3 starts that I mentioned that Verlander gave up the 10 hits to Cleveland, the fewest innings he pitched was 4 innings. So 4 2/3, 4 innings, 5 innings. So yeah, they've piled it up in a hurry tonight.
It doesn't happen often. It's his 21st start in this ballpark.
Outside, he missed. Ball 4. 2 on, nobody out. Now, Jason Kipnis has been relegated to watching the Tribe while he comes back from the injury that has had him on the disabled list. And Katie, you caught up with Jason, and it's been a little unique for him having to sit and watch.
It absolutely has, Matt. He told me the past month has allowed him to see the game in a completely different way because he's not worrying about his performance or his position. Instead, he's kind of watching the game like a coach. He's picking up on pitchers' tendencies. He's seeing exactly what a good at bat is, when to be aggressive, when to be patient, and he really hopes everything that he's learned he'll be able to bring back into his game and benefit from it.
Yeah, Katie, he also told me he's been watching a little bit like a fan, too. He's been yelling at the TV when the team was on the road, when he was watching us.
Well, you can't help it, man. It's no fun to watch a game when you're a player. You want to be right out there between the lines, and you do funny things, and you see the game a little bit differently when you're not in the heat of the battle.
He told me, he said, you know what, it doesn't take long. You get away from it for a few days, you forget how hard it is.
Yeah, it gives you a different perspective. That's, if anything, it'll make you rethink about how seriously you take certain things when you should maybe have fun with them. But it is an awfully tough game to play. The farther you get away from the lines, the easier the game gets for most people.
He made that point to me. He said, it looks easy from up there in the booth, doesn't it? I said, it looks a whole lot easier than it does down there. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
Brantley takes a strike.
Well, the players make it look easy. That's
exactly
the thing.
Right.
They make it look so easy because they're so good at it. I mean, you get into the heat of the battle and you say, oh, man, how can you not hit this guy? Well, why don't you jump in that little white box and watch that thing move all over and try and hit it? And then you can answer your own question, how you can't hit it.
Verlander's 1-1 to Brantley. Outside, he missed 2 balls and a strike.
Well, he's got to pay attention to Bourne because the last time he doubled, he took off for third base and it caught Castellanos by surprise on the stolen base. So he may take a couple of looks. Boy, the Indians have had base runners all night long. Well, now maybe trying to be a little too fine, and you're doing it to the wrong guy because Brantley's going to make you throw strikes.
Two on, nobody out here in the 4th inning as Brantley digs in. Verlander's 3-1 pitch. Brantley sends one in the air. He just missed it. Popped it to right. Hunter is there. He'll make the catch. Bourne will tag. He's headed for third, and the throw is cut off. So even though Brantley flies out, it's a productive at bat in that he gets Bourne to third base with 1 out.
Well, good count to hit, and it looked like it was a little bit off the end of the bat here by Brantley. They wanted to go inside, and that ball didn't go inside. It stayed out. And just a little off. That was about another inch or two down the barrel. He would have been out of here. But he does get him over. For the Tigers' sake, they do have runners at the corner. So he's a ground ball away from getting out of it if he could get one. He did have a ground ball double play back in the first inning. But he's only had, 2 ground ball outs? The double play from Murphy, and then in the third inning, he got Aviles.
Boy, big news for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've secured the #1 pick in the NBA draft again for the second year in a row. They had a 1.7% chance of winning the lottery, and they did.
Wow. Did they really?
So you have to wonder, Rick, is maybe the worm's starting to turn for Cleveland here. The Browns just had a big draft, 2 #1 picks, including Johnny Manziel. Now the Cavs, second straight year, get the #1 pick.
Wow.
Indians up 5-1 here as Chisenhall takes inside. It's 2-0. High pop, and Hunter's coming in. Kinsler's out.
Yeah, it's Hunter's
Hunter
ball.
makes the basket catch, and Bourne can't get home from there.
Boy, he almost clotheslined him, really. I'll tell you, made it a tough play because Kinsler went out. It's an easier play for that outfielder with his momentum coming to the plate. But he had to make a basket catch. That wasn't easy. There's Kinsler going out. You see it. You see Torrey calling for it, and wow, a basket catch, but he was in position. You see him calling for it there. Not the way he wanted to catch it. So he wasn't, he's just off the infield right there. So
yeah. Well, now 2 down, and David Murphy, the batter, walked his last time up. Up and away, ball 1. Verlander trying to wriggle off the hook for the second inning in a row. The Indians have had runner at third base with less than 2 out in each of these past 2 innings. They couldn't get him home in the third. And now Murphy will try the 2-out path here in the fourth. Left field, Davis moving over, makes the catch. Verlander escapes again, and we'll go to the 5th. Cleveland leading it 5-1. Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Furniture. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. Beautiful look at the skyline in downtown Cleveland. Indians off to a great start tonight. They lead it 5-1. And we'll go to the 5th inning with the bottom third of the Tigers order due up. Alex Avila, Danny Worth, Rajay Davis. Trevor Bauer has allowed 1 run on 3 hits. The lone run coming on a solo homer by Torrey Hunter in the first. Two-one delivery. Back out of play. Bauer has walked 1 and struck out 4. The only walk issued to this guy, Avila, with 2 outs in the 2nd inning, and that was on a very close pitch. To center field. Bourne sprinting back. It's over his head and gone.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's see. No call as of yet. Must have hit the very top of the wall.
Now the umpire says it's a home run.
Now he says it's a home run.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. He went like this
talk about
first.
Delayed reaction.
Yeah, Welke went like this, no, and then circled it. That was a delayed call, but I thought it was a home run. It sounded like it hit the railing.
So Alex Avila gets his 3rd home run of the year, and it's now a 5-2 ball game.
Let's take a look. It's hit a long way. That fastball, he gave him a little swinging room as Bourne looks up. Watch over the yellow line.
Oh, my, that's right on top again.
Well, I don't know if it hit a railing. It sounded like it hit. That might be right on top going straight up. We got to see it if we can slow it down. I don't know. They're stalling for a little time right now to get another look, I think, in the Indians' dugout. They want to take a look at it. And you know what? The way Welke called it, I would too. I'd want to take a look at it because at first he didn't call it a home run.
This will be a crew chief review, so they're going to take a look at it. Now, remember, Rick, we had to play just the other night. It was called a double. And that ball hit off the top of the fence. That ball looked like it hit in the exact same spot off the top of the fence, but this one's called a home run. Interesting. I thought I heard it hit the railing.
Listen. Yeah. That's the railing, I would think.
It has to be.
Yeah. It sure sounds like it. 2nd home run for the Tigers tonight.
Danny Worth, line to right, his only time up. So the Indians' lead is trimmed to 3. And a line drive base hit to center. Time now for a Mazda game break. Back to the studios. Here's Al Pulaski.
Matt, Rick, the Oakland A's are showing no signs of cooling off as they head down to St. Petersburg to take on the Rays. They're up 3-0 thanks in part to Coco Crisp. Hits a double here and knocks in 2 in the top of the second inning. It's now 3-0 behind Drew Pomeranz. The A's lead the Rays. 4th inning. Matt?
Thanks, Al. Here is Rajai Davis, who grounded out his first time up. Fouled on the right side. And a foul back. 0-2 the count. Two-strike pitch, and the breaking ball swung out and missed. Chased it in the dirt. 5th strikeout for Bauer. 1 away here in inning number 5.
That ball hit well out in front of home plate. But he gets him to swing at it. Look at that. Way out in front of home plate on the curveball. No chance of him going anywhere. First base is occupied, so Gomes is going to pick it up and maybe throw behind him. So he gets the first out here in the 5th.
Ian Kinsler singled his last time up. 1 for 2 tonight. 2 for 7 now in the series. Bauer steps away. 66 pitches tonight for Bauer. 44 have been strikes. Oh, nice pitch.
Yeah,
really had him fooled.
Good pitch right there. Good pitch. When you see a swing like this from a hitter, you know it's in a good spot. He was out there looking to maybe get after a fastball on that slider. Great location.
That fastball is yanked to left, and that's going to be off the wall. Played well by Brantley. And going into second base is Kinsler. Here's the throw. They got him! Oh, baby! You don't run on Michael Brantley.
How about that play?
2 down in the inning.
I'll tell you what, that's really a heads-up play because Brantley realized he has no play at the guy on first base. So let me try and keep the double play in order. He plays it 1 hop off the wall, spins the other way, and throws a strike to Aviles, who puts the tag on waiting for Kinsler. What a great play by Michael Brantley. 5 assists now for him. That is most in all of baseball. We saw it last year. He had that string of consecutive errorless games. But boy, he can throw too, and he's very accurate. That is a big play for the Indians.
Now a chance to get out of the inning for Bauer with 2 down as he faces Torrey Hunter.
Got to send along a very special hello tonight to Marion Karabek, who is a huge Tribe fan watching tonight. Marion, hope you're doing well. Tuning in. Hope the Indians win for you.
Danny Wirth, the runner at third base with 2 down. Outside with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. I think that was the hardest pitch he's thrown tonight, 97 miles an hour. So he goes from 97 to 83. And Hunter watching it go by, the count of 1-2 strikes. This enthusiastic crowd into this one, and they're up on their feet trying to urge Bauer on to the final out of the inning. The 1-2. Hit on the ground to short. Cabrera gets a big hop. Flips it over, and the inning is over. Tigers get another solo homer, but Bauer gets some help from his defense and gets out of trouble. Weather absolutely gorgeous. And so far the baseball's been very good as well. The Indians come out swinging tonight. 5 runs early off Justin Verlander. But they've left some opportunities out there. And now Detroit is within 3 at 5-2. Tribe will go back to work. Verlander's at 90 pitches on the night.
That's why I think that Michael Brantley play was very big in this ball game, because they had left 2 guys on in the last 2 innings. The Indians did. Detroit mounting a comeback, and with Kinsler right there, you never know. That was a very big play.
Santana tonight 1 for 2. He singled in the second. Flied out his last time up. Down low with it, 2 balls and a strike. Well, it's funny. You're used to seeing Verlander throw mid-upper 90s at times. That looked like it had a lot of velocity on it, and yet it only hit 90 miles an hour, but he still threw it right by him. 2-2. Did it again. Strikes him out. Second K for Verlander, 1 away. Our in-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Lonnie Chisenhall with an RBI single in the first. Tied the game at 1, and then Mike Avila's got a clutch 2-run double. He was down on the count of ball and 2 strikes, and the Tribe just kept pouring it on us. Drupal Cabrera with an RBI hit. The Indians would score 4 times in the second inning to take a 5-1 lead. Only 2 runs for Detroit coming on solo homers. 1 on the first by Torrey Hunter, 1 on the 5th by Alex Avila. Nick Swisher fouls it back. Michael Brantley with a tremendous defensive play. He also singled tonight, extending his home hitting streak to 17 games. Swisher pops one up on the infield. Castellanos has it 2 down.
Well, take a look at this throw right here off the bat of Kinsler. He looked at it like he thought he had a double all the way. Brantley played a beautiful one hop, and he made a perfect throw to second base and had Kinsler by a lot. That would have been second and third and 1 out.
Right.
And then you've got Hunter, and then you've got Cabrera and Martinez to follow, so you never know what could happen. That turned out to be out number 2 and a huge out.
Verlander has retired 5 in a row. And Yan Gomes, who struck out his last time up, is the batter. Bottom of the strike zone, 1-1. Verlander got a key strikeout of Gomes in that third inning. Indians were already up 5-1 at that point. They had first and third and 1 out. He struck out Gomes, got Aviles to ground out to avoid giving up any further runs. Then he came back in the 4th inning, and Michael Bourne doubled. He walked his Drupal Cabrera, so first and second with nobody out. Michael Brantley moved Bourne to third on a fly ball to right, but then he got Chisenhall and Murphy to pop up to get out of the inning once again. So it was ugly early for Verlander, but he's done what you always ask your starter to do. He's kept his team in the game. He's kept them within striking distance.
Well, yeah, this is a good day for the Indians or any offense. Really, you get 5 off Verlander, but in his last start at Baltimore in 6 innings, they got 5 runs. They got 6 hits. He went 110 pitches. Yeah, and that's the most runs he's given up all year at 5. So it's back-to-back starts. And the Indians had opportunities for more. So any opportunity you get off him, you want to take advantage of.
2-2 smack down the left field line. Gomes turns. He's headed for second base. He'll go in standing with a 2-out double. And the Indians, with their 11th hit tonight, more hits than Verlander has ever given up to the Indians in any start in his career.
5 of those 11 hits are doubles. There it is, down in the happy zone for Yan Gomes. A little breaking ball down. And he just drilled it down into the corner. So it'll be his first hit tonight. It'll be his 8th double of the year. And they will get one more opportunity to try and add on and answer that run that the Tigers put on in the top half of the 5th inning.
Aviles a 2-run double in the second, grounded out the third his last time up. In the dirt, 2-0.
That's the 4th hit, too, for the Indians tonight out of their 11 to get when they're down in the count, either 0-2 or 1-2 off this guy. And that's hard to do. Usually he's a guy that can put you away in a hurry. Well, tonight he hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah, only 2 strikeouts. Popped him up. Cabrera called off by Kinsler, and the inning is over. So 5 complete. It's the Indians 5 and the Tigers 2. Hashtag STO fan photo for a chance to have it shown on one of our telecasts. The Indians lead the Detroit Tigers 5-2. And for Detroit, it will be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up here in the 6th. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, and Austin Jackson. Trevor Bauer will begin the inning just over 70 pitches on the night. Both runs coming on solo homers. But going through the lineup now for the 3rd time.
Well, this is how you want to face Cabrera, leading off an inning.
Last time, that's the way he faced him as well. Swing and a miss. And in the 1st inning, he faced him with the bases empty. So you really can't ask for a better scenario.
That's exactly how you want to face him. Nobody on.
50 of Bauer's 73 pitches have been strikes tonight. That's just really impressive. It's impressive on any night, but given where Trevor Bauer was a year ago to where he is now, really have to tip your cap to him for putting the work in.
He's made adjustments. Yeah. I mean, he smoothed things out. He's been able to locate his fastball, and everything else stems off of that. You know, you can see him make adjustments with that arm. I've seen him shake it a number of times, and he's telling himself where to get it to. You know, how he can get it into position to throw strikes. He has walked one. And like you said, it was Avila back in the 2nd inning, and that pitch was awfully close.
Out of play, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball right up the middle, but the defense is there. Aviles had him shaded perfectly. 1 away.
Well, families can save big with the KeyBank Kids Value Tickets. Those tickets will get your kid $15 of loaded value for use on concessions or merchandise. Every Sunday, also Kids Fun Day out here at the ballpark, so log on to Indians.com kids value today.
One down for Victor Martinez, 0 for 2 tonight. He has struck out, grounded out. And Bauer pounds the strike zone. That really wasn't off the, that was on the plate. It was just high. But,
well,
sometimes if you're a hitter, Rick, if you're looking away, it kind of sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Those Tigers go leaning into it, man. You have to knock them back off the plate. There's nothing wrong with that pitch. But, yes, if you're looking away, you got to go out there first. That's the key as a pitcher, is to keep that hitter from lunging to go out there. Make him wait that extra split second before he can go out to try and hit that outside pitch. And that's because he has to wait to see if that pitch could be inside.
The 2-1. Good pitch.
There's a good changeup.
Boy, you don't see many changeups where you almost started it at the batter and leaked it over the inside part of the plate.
It looks. I don't know if it's a circle change or not. I haven't seen a picture. I haven't seen the grip yet. But it looked like it was a changeup to me.
Martinez, what an eye to lay off that pitch. You can see Bauer shake his head. Boy, pretty good, tantalizing pitch, but Martinez so good when it comes to plate discipline, able to lay off, and now a full count. Up high, missed high with a fastball. Tune in next Monday after the ball game for Positive Coaching Alliance's Breakfast with the Coaches. Hear from Browns head coach Mike Pettin and the Tribe's Terry Francona as they discuss tools and techniques you can use to help kids get the most out of sports. Positive Coaching Alliance. Better athletes, better people. I had a chance to moderate that discussion.
I was going to say, moderated by you, my friend.
It was really a lot of fun. There's great insight, whether you're a fan of professional sports or you're a dad who's getting ready to coach your kid's Little League team. Some really neat insights from both Terry Francona and Mike Pettin.
How long did that go on for? I'm sure you had a big Q&A.
Yeah, I think we were probably about an hour. I'm not sure. It's one of those deals, Rick, where you look down, and I don't know how much
gone by.
Yeah, because, again, Terry's very charismatic and has tremendous stories, but it's really my first chance, and I think the audience's first chance to get to talk with Mike Pettin and hear from the new Browns head coach. 1-0 pitch. And, very interesting guy. The son of a coach. He played for his father, who was a legendary coach and won 4 state championships in Pennsylvania. So it's in his blood, and he can't wait to get started.
Well, he will be soon.
Austin Jackson has struck out twice tonight. Bauer ready with a 1-1. Misses up high. Left-hander Kyle Crockett beginning to loosen in the Indians' bullpen. Bauer's at 86 pitches on the night. And that's fouled away. 2-2. Jackson with Castellanos to follow. And a full count.
Last couple of fastballs, looks like he might be trying to overthrow him just to try and get through this inning. The walk to Martinez, he had the 3-2 fastball that he really uncorked. And it was up and out of the zone for only his second walk. There's the bullpen.
Payoff pitch. Fouled back. Victor Martinez, Nick Swisher sharing a word at first. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 away here in this 6th inning. Key spot for Bauer. And another foul ball by Jackson.
Jackson doing a good job to keep him working. He was able to strike him out the first 2 times he faced him. Now he's fouled off a couple of 3-2 pitches. Important man here for Trevor Bauer.
Yes, indeed. The 3-2. And he walked him. So 2 on, 1 out. Back-to-back walks here in the inning. And now the tying run to the plate for Detroit and Nick Castellanos. Mickey Callaway about to go out and talk with Bauer. And now Brian Shaw begins to loosen alongside the left-hander out in the Indians' bullpen. Kyle Crockett had been getting loose, and he's probably ready to go. Shaw was kind of waiting to see how this inning played out, and now that Bauer's in some trouble, he begins to get loose in a hurry. Now, Bauer did get a double play ball to end the 3rd inning. So it's not as though he's not necessarily a guy you say, well, he's not a ground ball pitcher. He can get a ground ball, and that would certainly be beneficial to him right now.
Yeah, but you hate to see these free passes, boy, when you're in pitching against this Tiger team. Although they are 1 for 12 in the series with 4 strikeouts with runners in scoring position.
Tremendous job so far by Indians pitching, as they try to keep Detroit's bats under wraps. Oh, good pitch. Came with the first pitch, breaking ball, and it's in there for a strike. Sometimes when you're overthrowing the fastball, the best thing to do is back off a little bit.
Yeah, slow it down a little.
Came right back with it again.
Well, it was in a great spot. You could stay right there with that pitch if you can continue to put it in this location, huh?
Wow.
I mean, really, knees outside black.
Why not throw it again?
Yeah, don't try and throw it any better. Going in.
Fastball. Hit the Swisher. There's one. Back to first. Bauer's there. Called safe. Oh, man.
Did he catch it?
Very close.
Did he hold on to that ball?
He caught it. The umpire just simply called him safe, and Terry Francona is going to come out. Let's see what he tells Bauer. Maybe there's an explanation that said your foot was off the bag, or...
Well, Bauer thought he was there. He looked a little upset, and he hustled to get over there. He did go with the fastball. Let's see. Swisher gives the relay over to Cabrera, who in turn throws it back to Bauer.
Oh, man, another.
I'll tell you what,
absolutely.
He picked it nicely.
Yeah, but it's one of those plays where I think his foot might have got to the bag about the same time the ball gets in the glove.
He busted it to get over there. That's a tougher
It might
angle.
be worth a challenge, though. I think that's worth going for it.
That's a tougher angle because Bauer's leg was in the way of the foot. If you look at it that way, it looks better. I think he may have a chance. He dug it out and tried to show the umpire that he had the ball.
I think it's worth a chance here because if you're right, the inning's over.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you there. Let's see. The foot is...
I think he's got him on that.
Yeah, but you see, you don't know if the ball's in the glove or not. Gosh, I'll tell you, that's bang, bang. That's a tough play either way, any way you look at it. But, I agree. At the point in time, why not challenge it?
I thought on that angle it looked like the ball looked like it was in the glove just a fraction before the foot's on the bag. That will, to me, that's the angle that will be the telltale sign. Now, again, it comes down to the interpretation of who's watching the replay in New York.
And they're looking at the scoreboard. You can see them looking up, and they're seeing the same replay that we're looking at and we showed you before. You know, they're looking at the scoreboard, and here's the play that they're looking up at on the scoreboard. I'll tell you, boy, that's really close. That could go either way.
I think he's got him, Rick.
I do too.
I really
on that
do.
one, I do. I think so. But you know what? Who knows? I've been wrong on these before. And I'll probably be wrong all year long. It is so close.
That's a great angle, too. And I think there you can see the ball in the glove just a fraction before that foot gets on the bag.
It very well could be overturned. And then again, they could probably say there's not enough evidence. So we'll see. I'll tell you what, it's going to take them a little while now because they really have to look at it closely. That's how good it is. That's how close this play is.
The crew chief, Tim Welke, he's to your right on the screen. He was watching the scoreboard replay, and they've got a nice job on the scoreboard showing you the same angle we did, and they froze it with the ball in the glove, and the foot is not quite. I mean, you could barely slide a piece of paper between his foot and the bag. That's how close it was.
Watch this, though. It
Let's see
sounds
what
like
they
they're
say.
getting an answer. He's out. They got the call. How about that? That's great hustle by Trevor Bauer. Well done, kid.
Outstanding job by Trevor Bauer to get over there to field his position, and the Indians get out of the inning with a double play, literally by an inch. And so Bauer gets out of trouble, and we go to the bottom of the sixth inning with the Indians leading it 5-2. Probably checking her phone to see scores from around baseball. or not. 5-2, Indians leading it. Bottom of the 6th, top of the order for Cleveland. Justin Verlander coming back for more.
Oh, he's only at 106. He's just starting to get loose. But again, they have made him work today. He hasn't had his best stuff. He's had to work through some innings. I'll tell you, he has grinded through this game, and it shows you how good you can be. He gave up a 4-run second inning, and he's put zeros on the board ever since, and he's left 5 stranded in those 3 innings, but he's had to work hard to do it.
Yeah, you have to give him credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know in talking to some of the Indians hitters, they don't always like to give the other guy credit.
It's okay.
I'm sure
they don't have to.
They might say, we should have got him. We should have knocked him out. But, hey, the other guy gets paid too. He's trying to do a job.
Hey, he has grinded it out. They had their opportunities to knock him out and very well could have knocked him out, but he's still out there. And that's what you do with his offense. You just say, hey, they're just a hit away. And I'll tell you, a good play by Bauer there to get out of the inning after 2 walks. They get the call. That was a good hustle on his part.
Cabrera, I don't know. He didn't look right after that swing. He's feeling something in his shoulder.
He's trying to get something loose.
The 1-1. Outside with it. Staying with a fastball, the 2-1. Cabrera pops it to left. Back goes Davis. And makes the grab. 2 down. Let's go back and again, Bauer hustling over. Look at him sprinting. Head down, got there.
See, that's the only way Cabrera can make that throw is if the pitcher's over there and put something on it. He does a great job to pick it out of there. How many pitchers are you going to see short hop a ball at first base? A lot of them are lucky to get there. And then they go and review that play, and look at that. That's a big play for Bauer and the Indians. The kid hustled over there. Well done.
One for 3 tonight. Michael Brantley takes a strike. Outside with it, 2 balls and a strike. Just now getting action in the Detroit bullpen for the first time tonight. Time called before Verlander got into the windup. Evan Reed is up with 2 outs here in the inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brantley drives one to center field, but Jackson on the move, runs it down, and the Tribe goes 1-2-3 here in the 6th inning. So it remains 5-2 Cleveland. as we head to the 7th inning, and you get a look in at Progressive Field from our Panini's overstuffed cam. Trevor Bauer will start the 7th. He's at 94 pitches. There is double barrel action behind him in the Tribe bullpen. I almost get the feeling Terry Francona said, you know what, this kid has pitched a heck of a ball game. He just made a terrific play to get himself out of the 6th inning. I'm going to give him a chance to go back out here.
He got himself into trouble by the 2 walks, but got himself back out of the trouble with the good hustle and a nice pitch to get the double play. Anybody reaches, and I'm sure he will be gone.
Line drive, right field, base hit. And Avila has had a good night. He walked, he has homered, and now he is singled. Now comes Danny Worth, and here comes Terry Francona. So that was the deal. Send him back out there, but the first guy to reaches go to the bullpen. Bauer goes 6 innings plus 1 batter. He'll leave with the lead. And a nice hand.
Progressive Field fans, you can take advantage of the $4 12-ounce beers, the $3 hot dogs, and the $2 pop refills every game. Plus, $13 dog nights are on tap. Visit Indians.com for your ticket details.
Brian Shaw coming on for the Tribe. Shaw's 24th appearance of the year. He's 1-0. He's worked 21 innings. He's walked 3, struck out 18. This is his 24th appearance of the year, so that leads the team.
Well, a good night for the young man, Trevor Bauer. He went out there and battled and pitched hard.
I mean, with all due respect to the San Diego Padres, this is the best hitting team in the American League as of right now.
Yeah.
So this is a different test for Bauer, and I thought he did a terrific job.
I do too. His second start of the year, and in his first start he gave up 2 runs, 1 earned. In this one so far, it's just 2 runs, and both of them were the solo home runs.
Meanwhile, Brian Shaw's 3-0 to the number 8 hitter, Danny Worth.
The one thing they did for him today, they scored. They didn't score for him against San Diego.
Yeah.
They got beat 2-1. Now they got him 5 runs, and he went out there and really did a nice job. He had 11 0-2 1-2 counts. Bauer did. Detroit was 0 for 10 out of those counts.
Swing and a miss and a full count. Payoff pitch. Foul back. At Fenway Park in Boston, the Red Sox trail Toronto 7-4. They're in the 6th inning there. Red Sox are reeling. They've lost 4 straight. And they're 20-23 on the year. The Red Sox got beat up by Detroit. And now Toronto handing it to them so far in that game. Now the 3-2. Hit pretty well. Center field. Bourne's there, though. He is going to make the catch for out number 1.
Comes back from 3-0.
Big. That's a big out right there.
Yes, indeed. Look at Trevor Bauer mixing that fastball. Got it in on Kinsler early. And then a nice little change up to Martinez. He had a cutter or slash slider, whatever it is. A nice breaking ball there to get the double play. Had a couple of double plays that really loomed large. 5 strikeouts. So a good night for the rookie.
Davis bunted foul toward third.
You know, he come right up and stepped right into the heat, didn't he, facing the Detroit Tiger. That's not an easy start. But, you know, it's his turn in the rotation, and this could be a big step for the young man.
Yeah.
You know, you go back, you'll see him 5 more times. Kluber's pitching very well. Now you got to get McAllister, who's pitching tomorrow, back on track. You got to get Masterson out there pitching the way he's capable of pitching again.
To first, caught by Swisher. Double play ends the inning. Oh, how about that, baby? A bullet right into the first base mid of Nick Swisher. Steps on the bag, ends the inning. Stretch time in Cleveland. The 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. Bottom of the 7th here at Progressive Field. And watch this play by Nick Swisher at first base. Comes off the bag.
Well, when you're a hitter, that play, I'm sorry, I forgot to. Right into his glove. When you're a hitter, you're thinking, man, I hit it right on the nose, but there's nothing the runner could do. Right into the glove. Double play for the third double play this tonight for the Indians. Evan Reed on now for the Tigers. For the 17th time. Verlander, 6 innings, 11 hits. An all-time high he has given up to the Indians. Only 5 runs. He hung in there. Battled hard, 3 walks, couple of strikeouts. Just 2 strikeouts. Indians really did a good job against him tonight.
Lonnie Chisenhall will lead off here in the 7th inning. 1 for 3 on the night with an RBI single back in the first. And it's inside for ball 1. You know, that play Swisher made at first base, obviously that's a reaction play, and he did a nice job. But yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that things fans don't get to see. Earlier today, they had the entire team out there, the infielders, pitchers, going through what you would normally see in a spring training drill. Pitchers' fundamental practice, taking ground balls, turning double plays. I mean, they were working hard at it. It was a spirit. It wasn't one of these, they're just going through the motions. It was a spirited workout.
They need to work at it.
Yeah.
The way they played defensively, they should be doing that. And they did. And, you know, when you work hard, it pays dividends.
Yeah. 2-1 pitch. And as Terry Francona said, he said, look, we're not doing this. This isn't punishment. We're not saying, oh, you guys are playing bad, so get out there. We're going to hit you ground balls. He said, you know, this is a drill designed to, hey, let's get better. And it's not punishment, and I think that's, I think it was received that way by the players too, by the way I watched them go through the drills too.
Well, hey, get out there and work at it. That's right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're here for.
The 2-2. The shortstop. Worth has it, 1 away. With more on the early workout today, Katie Witham was down there. She had her eyeballs working as well.
Well, Matt, like you said, that's something you usually see, especially with the pitchers during spring training. Well, Mickey Callaway said today he was trying to reinforce to his staff that they can help pick up the defense just as well as the guys playing on the infield, and that's exactly what we saw Trevor Bauer do in the 6th inning.
Yes, he did. He hustled to get to first base, and they ended up getting a double play. Little things.
Nothing wrong with a little refresher once in a while. Murphy hammers it deep right field near the pole. Goodbye! Home run number 4 for David Murphy. And it's a 6-2 Indians lead.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a line shot. He got it down into his wheelhouse and didn't know if it was going to stay fair, but it shoots it right down the line. I know Reed was hoping it went foul, but a good swing by Murphy. The first home run for the Indians tonight, just inside the pole. They have 5 doubles. Look at that. That didn't miss by much. It sliced in there. And a quick run for the Indians.
Up high, ball 1 to Carlos Santana.
That'll bring a smile to your face. Number 4 for Murphy. And hit number 12. Something that they haven't been doing, so I don't know, whatever this new lineup shakeup or whatever it is, I sort of like it.
Gotta love the results, don't you?
Yeah, you had double-digit hits. Last night they had 13 hits, 14 hits. Indians 10-5 when they get 10 or more hits in a game.
Terry Francona would love to see Carlos Santana get back to just the basic approach of hitting, the fundamental, the base root fundamental. Take your base hits.
Well, Santana's got to get rolling for this offense to be consistent.
I mean, the one thing Terry said, and I looked at it today, from the right side of the plate, I'm sorry, against right-handed pitching. So when he's batting left-handed, he came into tonight with a 135 batting average, but a 320 on-base percentage. The two wouldn't appear to ever
it's
go
like
hand
an
in hand.
oxymoron.
It shouldn't happen.
Right.
And so Terry's point is, if that's almost impossible to do. So it's in there. The ability's there. It's got them scratching their heads as to why it's not
so frustrating.
Clicking.
Yeah, when somebody has such a good eye like he does at home plate and he can't get a hit, you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's swinging at every pitch out of the zone and he's chasing and he's striking out a lot. No. He was never a high average hitter, and that was always hard to believe because he walks so much.
Strikes out here, 2 down. Time for a Mazda game break. We go back to Al Pawlowski.
Got the White Sox and Royals tonight in Kansas City. KC was up 2-1 in the 5th inning, and the White Sox scored 3. A solo homer by Tyler Flowers got it started, his 3rd of the year. Then Chicago added 2 more. 4-2 now, 5th inning in KC, Matt.
All right, thanks, Al. 6-2 Indians here in the 7th inning with 2 down. Nick Swisher will bat. He has 2 more hits tonight, so 2 hits last night, 2 hits tonight. David Murphy to your left with the home run to give the Indians a 4-run cushion now. Good cut, fouls it back. Home plate umpire Gabe Morales said it caught the outside corner, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that was a good pitch.
Tigers with a 3-man shift on the right side for Swisher. And he strikes him out to end the inning. But David Murphy goes deep. The Indians' first home run of the night, and they lead it now 6-2.
descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stick around for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up after the ball game here on Sports Time Ohio. Here in the 8th inning, Brian Shaw stays on. He got the big double play ball to get out of the 7th. He's got the top of the order. 3 right-handed hitters: Kinsler, Hunter, and Cabrera. Ian Kinsler with 2 hits tonight. There have been a number of key plays in this game. And really, all of them, as far as the Indians are concerned, revolve around good defensive plays made by Cleveland. Michael Brantley throwing out Kinsler in that 5th inning, trying to stretch a single into a double, was huge. Kinsler sends one to left, routine for Michael. 1 away. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's go back to that play. So there's 1 on, 1 out, and Kinsler smokes one off the wall. He's thinking it's going to be 2nd and 3rd and 1 out.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And then you've got the big boys coming up. Hunter was there. Coming up next, it would have been 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. Kinsler couldn't quite get there, and a big play by Brantley for the 5th assist this year that leads all of baseball.
Ripped to third, a diving stop by Chisenhall. Oh, the defense has been stellar here tonight.
It's fun to see, boy, when you play good defense. Boy, you don't give any extra outs, and it's fun to watch. Chisenhall going to his right on the backhanded side. Nice play. Out number 2. Boy, this is something we haven't seen all year, is good defense, and there's been a lot of it tonight.
That double play that involved Trevor Bauer that ended the 6th inning was equally huge for the Tribe tonight. It took a video replay review to get it turned in the Tribe's favor, but it was worth it. And then the line drive double play that ended the 7th inning, turned by Nick Swisher. Now you get the diving stop by Chisenhall here in the 8th. And almost everybody's had a hand in this one so far here tonight. Indians lead it 6-2 with 2 down in the 8th. And Miguel Cabrera batting every time he's come to bat here tonight. Nobody on base. Miguel Cabrera signed a new long-term contract extension. Basically, after Max Scherzer said no thank you to $144 million, the Tigers said, hey, Miguel. He said, I'll take it. Of course, I think he signed now till he's 50. It seems like that anyway.
He still might be able to hit when he's 50, too. Speaking of 50, did you see where Julio Franco's playing in the Texas League at 55? I think a double-A game, yeah.
Well, toward the end of his career when he was here with the Indians, you would have never guessed whatever he said his age was, you'd have never been able to guess that's what he really was. The 0-2, a little bit outside. Now the 1-2. A little high. Gomes did a nice job of trying to frame that pitch into the strike zone, but Gabe Morales wasn't buying.
He wanted it away. Yeah, it was up and in.
He almost went. They appeal. No. Tim Timmons said he did not go around on a full count now.
See if Cabrera points. He normally points to the umpires. He didn't go. He did not go. Yep, he was right.
He made the call himself.
No. Normally he'll go out and ask the umps, but this time no.
3-2 pitch. Back out of play.
Just a tough out. Shaw had him down in the count.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat.
Yes, he
Swing
did.
and a miss. He got him, and the crowd absolutely loves it. At Progressive Field, Indians Live begins our coverage at 11:30. We'll bring you the first pitch at high noon right here on Sports Time Ohio. Yan Gomes, Mike Aviles, Michael Bourne due for Cleveland here in the 8th. Gomes has walked and scored, struck out, and doubled here tonight. Back out of play. The Animal has hit in 19 of his last 24 games with a dozen ribbies and 14 runs scored now. He's another guy that's moved around a little bit in the batting order, as have a number of guys this year. But primarily he's hit down toward the bottom. 20 starts in the 7th spot. This is number 14 on the year in the 8th spot. That's primarily where he's batted. And it's nice to have a guy who's swinging the bat effectively in that bottom third of the order.
Sure it is. I mean, he's had some big hits down there.
He's got good power, too. He's hit 6 home runs. I believe that's second most on the club. Up high. Michael Brantley leads the team with 9. And, yeah, Gomes second with 6. Hit pretty well to deep right field. Hunter is back, though, and he'll make the catch just shy of the track for out number 1. In-game box score brought to you by your Hyundai dealers. That's always nice to see. Every starter with at least 1 hit here tonight.
Yeah, they did a lot of damage early. They came out of the chute ready to go against Justin Verlander tonight.
That's the most important thing. As you said, Rick, they came from the get-go.
Yes, they did.
With a look in their eye that,
you know,
hey,
that
let's
first
go.
inning, they've had issues in not scoring, but they were ready to go tonight. Hustling.
Now, you know, in that series against Oakland, they'd get a run in the first inning, but then nothing.
No,
tonight they came right back.
Down.
With a 4 spot in the second. Had some opportunities to add to it. And then the home run in the 7th to add to the lead. But the difference so far in this series, in the series against Oakland, is that the pitching has really been terrific so far. I mean, can't say enough about Kluber last night, Bauer here tonight.
You know, when you look at it, for the month of May, the starters really have been good. They've had a couple of starts that, you know, they had some hiccups, you know, over this last week.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
for the most part, the starters have been good.
Zach McAllister gets his turn tomorrow. And then the Tribe hits the road for 4 in Baltimore, beginning Thursday night. 0-2 to Aviles. Upstairs with it. Avila strikes out, and there are 2 down here in the 8th inning.
Well, guarantee the most popular 2014 Indians promotional items with new promo pass. When you purchase a promo pass ticket, you'll receive promo items no matter what time you arrive at the ballpark. Visit Indians.com for the details.
Michael Bourne, 2 more hits tonight. Both of them doubles. And a count 1-2. One-two pitch. Wanted it away, threw it away. Bourne said, I won't swing at it. It's off the plate, and it counts 2-2. Again, same location. Bourne says, I'm not fishing. Cody Allen up in the Tribe pen. The 3-2. Back to the mound. Reed has it. The flip. And we'll go to the ninth. 6-2 Tribe. Car Carrots coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Earlier today, the Indians went through the paces. Pitcher's fundamental practice, PFP. Did it pay off? Boy, did it ever. Funny how that works, too.
Well, the starting pitcher wasn't out there doing that, but he made sure he hustled over to first base and ended up turning a huge play in this ball game where he picked a throw from Cabrera to end that inning. It was reviewed. And I'll tell you what, they got him. They called him safe. They overturned it, and a play that was well done by Bauer.
So Cody Allen will come on here in the ninth. Try to finish what Bauer started. Victor Martinez will lead off for the Tigers. Martinez 0 for 2, walked back in the sixth inning. Fouled back out of play. Now the 0-1. Down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Pop back out of play. Austin Jackson waits on deck. White Sox lead the Kansas City Royals 4-2 in KC. They're in the 7th inning. The 1-2. Upstairs with it. Twins are doing a little interleague action tonight. They're out in San Diego. They'll be getting underway shortly. Allen deals. Swing and a miss. He struck him out on a ball that looked like it was bearing in on Martinez. He might have swung out of self-defense, but he goes down, and that's out number 1 here in the 9th.
Well, he threw a blue darter up there, up and in. That's a ball, but Victor said, I got to try and get him out of there to foul it off. He couldn't do it. He strikes out twice in a game tonight.
It's got to be the first time this year.
I would think so. It's only number 11 on the season. But, boy, there was a big, high fastball right there that he swings right through it.
Austin Jackson. It's a called strike. They tell us it is officially the first time Martinez has struck out twice in a game this year. Down on the dirt. Now the 1-1. Oh, 96 miles an hour. And I mean, Rick, that's at the knees outside corner.
Yeah, that's low cheddar.
Whew.
He let that one go.
Cody's 1-2. Upstairs with it. As Dribble Cabrera throws him out 2 away. Recapping the keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital, Bauer was in command tonight of his pitches and the game. And the Indians did a tremendous job against Justin Verlander. Nick Castellanos is 0 for 3 tonight. He has struck out, flied out, grounded out. Breaking ball, swung and fouled back, and it count is 0-2. 13,925 very enthusiastic fans here tonight, and they've been loving this one from the outset. Weekly chopped to third. Chisenhall throws it over, and the game is in the books. The Indians win it. They beat the Tigers for the second night in a row by a final score of 6-2. Trevor Bauer gets his first win. Justin Verlander falls to 5-3. The Indians are now 21-25. The Tigers fall to 27-14. Time now for our key play of the game. It's brought to you by Key Bank.
Well, let's go back. It's going to be Micah Vilas in the second inning. I mean, you talk about a low breaking ball. He stayed down on it, drove it into the gap. That scores a pair of runs, and that made it a 3-run baseball game. Gave him 4 on the game. Aviles, a good swing there. That's brought to you by KeyBank.
Tribe wins it here tonight. They get 5 in the first 2 innings against Justin Verlander. Trevor Bauer made it stand up. The Indians add 1 in the 7th to make the final count 6-2. And now a chance for the Indians to sweep the Tigers tomorrow in the series finale. We've got more to talk about this one when we come back.